Shirt show. All right, let's go.
Shirt show! Talking shirt! Shirt show! Talking shirt! Shirt show! Talking shirt! Shirt show! Shirt, man! All right! Episode 113 of Shirt Show. We're doing a live Q&A from the water-based camp in Texas. Let's go!
There he is.
Hey.
Hey, did you have to fly back to St. Louis to get your shit or what?
No, we went straight. I just changed our flights straight to right there.
Mm-hmm.
California. Here's the thing, and here's why I'm on vacay now is number one, there was just so much vacay going on that I couldn't leave the shop, for like the past couple months. And then two, COVID, Joanne had it, then I had it. Three, and tell me if you feel this, like whenever, like it's the hardest thing to leave, like to leave the shop, but once you're gone, you're gone. Like, and so if you just, for us anyway, it's just easier to stay away. We're already gone. So maybe we'll just extend it, and that's what we did. And so here we are.
We're already gone for like 4 days. Let's make it another week and a half.
Yeah. But look, here's why. Look,
I understand.
Is Joanne, can you see beautiful. Joanne? Is she down there somewhere?
No, is she swimming?
Yeah, she's down there. That's where I was, and I'm up here to be with you. Okay, I hope you know that.
Okay, cool. Thanks, man.
Yeah,
appreciate it. How's it going though? How is California? Is it wonderful?
LIVIN, man, living. Yeah, it's perfect. 75, right. And you're trying to cut me off. You didn't really want to know. I started to tell you, and you're like, "Yeah, sounds good, great." Enough about me. How's New York?
It's nice. It's a nice 80-something degree day and sunny, and yeah, just working.
I'll take that.
Back to work.
I'd take 80-something and sunny. Yeah.
Back from Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we decided to go. Well, I decided to go to water-based camp, and I was there. Mm-hmm. I went and saw Eric and hung out at Night Owls.
Yeah.
And Eric and Val, and loved that place. And then road trip with them up to Fort Worth for water-based camp. And, I spend the night, and I wake up in the morning, and I go down to the lobby to get ready to go to the first day of camp. And fucking you and Joanne are in the lobby.
We're fucking in the lobby. Yeah.
Like right there, yeah. Wide open.
So what I thought was so funny, I think we said this in the show, is that you were the first to sign up for water-based camp. That's what Ryan Moore told us. You were the first, and I was the last.
Yeah, literally the first person.
And literally the last.
And you were the last. Yeah.
We decided to go the night before. We wanted to go, of course, always, but it's just so hard to get away, and with everything and not feeling well. Finally felt good, and we were like, okay, we're going to buy tickets. And then like 3 things in a row terrible happened. Like we were flooded again, we lost power. But finally everything aligned, and we jumped on. Yeah, it was perfect. And we got tickets, flew down to Dallas, and there we were in the lobby. And you know what happened next, don't you?
What did happen next? We got picked up by Frank.
Fucking Frank, yeah. Here's the thing. Frank, I'm talking to you right now. If you ever decide to get out of the screen biz, you would make serious cheddar as an Uber driver, because you are the best.
That's true. Yeah.
Wasn't it so comfortable, and wasn't he so polite? And
such a comfortable ride. Yeah. I had so much room.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you know what he said? He got that truck just for you.
Yeah. So he picked the truck just for me, so I would fit in it with him.
Yeah.
It was like a twofer. It was a wonderful, I came downstairs, I got an iced tea, and then I came around the corner, and you and Joanne were there, which was wonderful. Nice big hugs. And then I look outside the hotel, this beautiful hotel. I look outside, and fucking Frank's sitting there in a truck being like, hey, want to ride? And then I had to pinch myself to make sure I was either dreaming or dead. But no, it was just real life.
It's real life.
Yeah, it was wonderful.
It was wonderful.
So we are right now recording our pregame after the fact. So what happened was Do you want me to tell the story, or do you want to tell the
let's hear
story?
it. Yeah, tell us.
Oh, so anyway, we were at water base camp. We do the first day. Everything's wonderful. We, hang out throughout the night and everything else. Second day, we're at the show, and about halfway through, Andy's like, "Hey, we don't have anyone to record because someone had to cancel. What do you think about just recording here? Like, we can go on the couch over there and just like record an episode and ask some people like how they feel about the camp and stuff."
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, we can do that. I'll ask around and see who wants to like come sit on the couch with us or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So then I guess you went and talked to Seth and Brett, and Ryan got word that
Ryan Moore.
we were talking about doing that.
Yeah.
Ryan Moore. And then pretty much it turned into me and Andy closing out water base camp as the Q&A at the end. So we had the whole audience
live,
and
audience.
we did the live audience Q&A, and it was pretty awesome. So we didn't really have the opportunity to do our pregame thoughts and sponsors.
No.
So here we are on Tuesday.
Here we are
after the fact.
On Tuesday after the fact. So yeah, we recorded, I don't know, like an hour and a half. I was like to Brett and Ryan, I'm like, so how long are we going to go? Like, we don't want to step on any toes here. You guys have plans to do this, Q&A to close out this water base camp. And here we are, these goobers, like, what are we going to do? And they said, no, just do whatever you want. And see, like, we'll just wing it. And so I was like, we had no idea. Zero prep, and pretty much like always, I guess, basically.
No, but big props to Seth for setting up audio, video, lighting.
Yes.
Seth extraordinaire. And yeah, it came out awesome. Like, it was a fun time. So pretty much really we sat down and we talked to Ryan and Brett about what, Made Lab is and what water base camp was, and then we had up Eric and Val and Colin from Lone Mountain to talk about them speaking, and then we had Jesse from Matsui, and we had Sadi up there, and yeah, we just took a bunch of audience questions, and it came out pretty awesome. So
yeah, I would say I think it came out good. Well, like it is what it is. I think that it was real. Like, people were giving their, like, what's so great about that is it was just, we're not recapping it days later, we're recapping it right then, like right then and there. It was raw. People were fresh off of the camp. And so they had lots of great things to say. I'd like to say that Brett Bowden and Ryan Moore are both incredible, like, MCs. I laughed a bunch of different times, and just the way they ran that, it was super pro, the way they ran that whole camp. I have never been to anything like that. And, you show up, and that's a hard thing to do, isn't it? Like, they have things to do. Like, they have businesses to run.
Yeah.
And now here they are putting on this camp.
It's funny. It's funny seeing them and like kind of being behind the scenes a little bit. Like, we were there at different times when it wasn't necessarily open or whatever. And it's funny, like, Brett runs Printed Threads and has a couple other projects he does, but he has Made Lab. So it's like literally beforehand and after, like, it was him, his kids, like his wife, and they were like sweeping the floors and like getting the coolers ready for drinks and like doing all the behind the scenes. And Ryan wasn't doing washing dishes.
No,
and like,
no, let's just be, let's
Ryan
be
was
real.
sitting in the back corner.
He doesn't have much to do.
No.
And
no, I saw him doing the same thing, like filling coolers and moving things around and moving chairs. And like, these guys aren't just like, paying people to do shit. They're fucking there getting everything ready. And, these guys are all working hard to make this thing happen for us. So appreciate all of those guys. It's not just those two either. I mean, everyone else behind the scenes there.
It's a hard thing. I mean, I can't imagine how hard that is to put on. And the same thing can be said about, like Eric and Val. They have a business to run. They have t-shirts to print and get out the door, yet they're going to, drive up and take a couple days out of their week and all that prep time and all that different stuff to come up and share, their infinite wisdom with us. It's incredible.
Yeah. And I mean, I was there, and I mean, I saw like how busy they were, and they had some really big orders going on. And he was also trying to he had like consulting coming in that he had to rearrange, and
He had a
like,
dryer too, right?
They had a dryer they had to take down and install all during this, and it was like, you know, a couple staff members and Eric and Val, and like they came to set up, and not only did they do that, they took a day out of their time to just hang out with me and like show me the shop and like everything else. It was just kind of like, you know, thank you.
They're rad, super rad people.
Yeah.
Hugs and kisses out to you guys. And then Colin, the same thing. You know, he's got a shop to run and Sasquatches to hunt down and hang out with up there in Montana. And, you know, they took time out of their hectic schedules to come and share what they know and
share some knowledge.
That's pretty cool, isn't it? It's neat. What an industry we're in.
Do you have any takeaways? Anything that inspired you?
I think I shared, you know, some of that, you know, in the live recording that we did or whatever. Takeaways though, right now, I would say that, one, I really love, so like I saw, I don't remember when we were in the screen room cooling off because it got kind of warm in there. And so we went in the screen room, we were cooling off and we're chilling in there literally. And Ryan Moore comes in with screens and squeegees and flood bars. And then I see him go back and he's washing the screens and washing the squeegees with his bare hands. And I'm like, this guy knows nothing about screen printing. Like, what an idiot. You know, he's like, doesn't have gloves on. But it turns out you can just wash, like you can touch your, you know, all of the stuff, like the squeegee and bare hands and just wash and it comes right off your hands. It's so cool. Yeah. I love that about it. It must be like, that's way easier to work with in that regard. Right. I think my biggest takeaway was kind of the same thing I said though, you know, when during the show is that I think Colin's right. I think start with just white ink, you know, just print one color, but actually not really one screen, probably 2 or 3 screens, right? With white ink, get that down like this right here and figure out how to do that. And, you know, because I think once you master start slow. Sort of like what we always say, right? Just one step at a time, baby steps. What was do you have any takeaways?
I think the biggest thing for me was just like, I had some questions in my head before I even came, not even water-based related, and just being able to hang out with all my peers and bounce my ideas off from that kind of helped me out a lot and got me some clarity on like what's going on right now. But the other thing was there was a couple things, you know, just talking about screen making and possible, I want to do a bunch of tests with face coding and, I don't know, there's just a couple things like different tweaks and different temps and times to use for water base as far as like under bases on things. Yeah, just a lot of little stuff. But like I said, the biggest thing about these camps and all this stuff is just the community and hanging out with the people and growing and networking and stuff. So yeah, you go, you learn a little and about, you know, your craft. And then also, you know, you get support and you get to network. I mean, Alan said that, Alan from Proper, you know, he's actually even texted us later and said, you know, I don't go to these shows ever really. And he decided to come up, you know, just by himself. And he felt so like welcomed by everybody there. There was like 75 shops or something, right? And he felt so welcomed and made a bunch of friends. And he says he's going to as many of these shows as he can in the future, just for that very reason, right? Yeah. It's just nice to have like a bunch of things on your mind as an owner. And then you go to something like this and you kind of brain dump on some friends and then they kind of set you straight. Brain dump? I like that. Yeah. That's smart. That's a neat little saying. You ready to talk about some of our pals, which most of them were supporters of this water-based camp? Yeah, actually, I am. Look at this. Look what I got here. It's coming in hot. Okay. Frank. It was so good seeing him. Always good. And he had to dip out early, which I'm still upset about, but you know. Yeah. But do you remember when we were in the truck with him and he said we could have anything we wanted? Do you remember that? Is that reality?
That wasn't, yeah. So you know how you said you thought you weren't sure if you were dreaming or dead or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. He did say, he's like, hey, whatever you guys
We
want.
were talking about what he gave to Made Lab to like sponsor and make that happen, and then we said, "Oh, must be nice." And he's like, "Let me know anything you want.
Yeah.
I'll take care of it."
So I was thinking, wow,
What do you think? You get 50%, I get 50% of GSF. Is that what you're thinking?
I like it. Well, he needs to still
Frank, you
retain.
retired, bud.
Yeah, Uber. Like there you go, Uber Drive.
Right.
We
Exactly.
figured it out for him. Dylan, Dill. It all
bud.
starts. Hey, bud. It all starts with a screen, and whether it's new stretches or restretches, Frank and his team do it the best. To find out
By
more,
far.
go to bye far.
Light years ahead.
Yeah. So to find out more, go to graphicscreenfashion.com, FFFFF,
Rank.com.
or
Greatfuckingscreens.com.
mm-hmm. You know who I missed at this event is Alex.
Yeah, I know.
And speaking of him,
it's been a while.
It has been a while. But speaking of Alex, cleaning screens is no fun, but Easy Way makes it funner.
Mm-hmm.
Their line of eco-friendly chemicals will help you keep your screens and your shop clean. Check them out at easyway.com. Easy Way.
It's the easiest way.
Heck yes.
Heck yes.
Action Engineering makes all kinds of accessories printers need. Go to actionengineering.com to have a look. And when you're at checkout, use a new code, SS08. And what happens?
You get 10% off.
That's right. 10%.
Hell of a deal.
Thanks to Shirt Show.
Mm-hmm.
Next we have Monarch Color, and they have a super opaque mixing system that you and I both love. Mm-hmm. Let's just face it. Let's be real. I
talked to like 5 different shops about Monarch this week.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's pretty much all I had to say. They were like, tell me about it. And I was like, it fucking does what's supposed to do. It's really good. It's really opaque. It's beautiful. It has great hand. Mm-hmm. And it's just a really good mixing system. Really good whites. And the matte black.
Oh, yeah. Matte black. That's what you want. You don't want the shining. Mm-hmm. Learn more at monarchcolor.com. Ink better, print better, be better.
Live Moss.
Monarch. So next we have GraphX Source. Yeah. And we saw Nick, we saw Lucas, both those guys down in Dallas.
And by the way, today is Nick's birthday.
No fucking way. I was texting with him earlier. What a dick. He didn't even tell me that. Mm-hmm. Here we go. Right down here.
Happy birthday to you.
To you.
Happy birthday
to you. Happy birthday. I was doing the Michael Scott.
Nicholas Wood. Happy birthday
to
you.
So whether your shop could use a little or a lot of help in the art department, give 1-900hotstuff.com a look. Get in touch with Nick or Lucas, and you get free kittens this month. And you know they put that on their website?
I did see that. Yeah. Nick and Lucas, both amazing human beings, totally can help you out. Love those guys. And yeah, it's definitely a no-brainer if you're looking for help in the screen or not. Yeah, in the art department, they can handle it for sure.
Hey, Dill.
Hey, bud.
What do you got for Chromaline's tip of the week?
Chromaline's tip of the week is you might hear the emulsion guys talking about solid percentages of an emulsion, but what does that mean for you? Solid percentage is just the ratio of solid material in a liquid emulsion. For example, an emulsion like Hydro X has 46% solids, which means it's 54% water. The lower the solids percentage, the more water in an emulsion. When a freshly coated screen dries, the water evaporates out of the emulsion and you are left with just the solids. Something high in solids, you can just coat 1 and 1, but in comparison, something low in solids, you might need to coat 2 and 2 or even 2 and 3 to match the same stencil thickness.
Yep.
So that's something you should definitely pay attention to. You shouldn't just try any old emulsion. You should ask them, what is the solids content in this emulsion? So you're not paying for mostly water.
Absolutely. Unless you're thirsty, then
right. Yeah.
Get more water. You need to keep hydrated, you know. So go to chromaline.com to watch Kevin's videos and learn about the screen room. Yeah.
Chromaline. Thanks, guys.
I have a couple quick takes for you before we wrap this up.
Okay.
Okay. Dylan, what is one thing that helps you get through the day besides me?
A nice morning walk. Some iced tea.
I said one thing. And you know what? Sorry. The first thing you said is a nice morning walk. And I don't think you would have said that a couple of years ago. And I really,
nope.
I mean, that's incredibly healthy because when I was down by the pool a minute ago, they had magazines. I grabbed Men's Health magazine, Chris Pratt on the cover, super hunky. Mm-hmm. And he is filming Guardians 3 in Atlanta. And he was talking about, and because he's staying there a while, I guess they got him a house and he put in this like fitness center. And he was talking about his routine, and morning walk is a really great thing. I'm proud of you, man. I love a morning walk. I love a walk anytime.
It's been huge. Yeah. It's one of those things. I never thought about mental health or anything, until now. And I'm realizing that a morning walk is not only good for me, like physically, but it's good for me mentally as well to prep for the day and just clear my mind and everything else.
100%. Next question. Ready? Pulled pork or pull out?
Wait, did you say pulled pork or pull out?
That's what I said. And this has to be credited to JoJo because I was like, hey, I need a quick take. And so I was like, pulled pork. And I said, or pull. And I was trying to come up with something. And she goes, out.
Fuck. Can I have both?
Nope. This is an either or, man. This is either or.
I am the bailout king. So
okay. Okay.
I'm gonna go with pulled pork.
I'll give you both. You know what? Those are both really good things. So why not? Yeah.
Okay, cool.
That's some good stuff. And while we're on that topic, what is for din?
Chipotle.
We had that 2 nights ago. It was delicious. Tonight, I don't know what we're gonna have. Something like probably Olive Garden.
I hope you have pull out for dinner tonight, bud.
Yeah, pull out sandwich.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait.
Okay.
I think I better go. Gotta go.
Go enjoy that beach. Why are you talking to me?
Yeah, I don't know. Well,
loser.
I miss you, man. It was.
I know.
Like, I woke up the morning after, and I knew that we weren't going to see each other. We had, you were flying out that way, and I was flying out this way.
I went east. You went west.
Tears.
Yeah.
I got a teardrop tattoo.
Yeah. I was thinking how nice it was sitting with you and JoJo the night before we left and just having a beautiful dinner. Enjoying each other's company.
That was good dinner. The mac and cheese with the onions or whatever in there.
The filet I had was fucking so good.
Yeah. Good stuff.
All right, man. Go to the beach. I love
That's
you.
It, right? We're done. We did
it. I hope everyone enjoys our live episode at Waterbase Camp.
Yeah, me too. Love you.
Okay. Love you.
Love you too.
Bye.
We're the Shirt Show, and I thought maybe we could introduce ourselves in case you don't know who we are. My name's Dylan. I am from Upstate Merch. I love, I love hiking. I love sunsets, bougie pizza, and my idol is Shirt Kong for sure.
I'm Andy, and I'm a grumpy old son of a bitch.
My name's Brett Bowden. I have long hair like Jesus. People know me as Screen Printing Jesus. In Haiti, they know me as Tap Tap Jesus. And I really like working out in ice baths.
My name is Ryan Moore, and it's so weird that I have my shirt on right now.
Before we came on, I asked Brett to write us some good material, and well, look at that. Perfect. So this is totally unplanned. I thought that maybe Dylan and I could do like all of a sudden today it occurred to me, what if we did a show and just started to talk to everybody like what their takeaways were from this. So that was really dumb because all of a sudden Ryan said, let's do this live, and well, we've never done that before. So here we go.
Are you nervous?
Yeah, a little bit, but you're here, and
Just remember, everyone is picturing you naked. That's
well, we can make this real.
Let's go.
So it's kind of, I love how you told me this earlier that Dylan was the very first person to sign up for Water-Based Camp, and I was the very last person to sign up for Water-Based Camp, but
Priorities.
we had some crazy things happen at our shop before we got here this week, and we actually have some guests coming in just now. We lost, I don't know if you know, but so I'm from St. Louis. We have had just, I don't know, crazy rains for days and days and days, flooding and all that kind of stuff. We lost power. And we were going to catch a red eye, I guess it was Thursday night, but we got one really early on Saturday, and we got down here. I'm so glad we did, because these sort of events, you know, you meet people, you network, and make friends, and then learn stuff about the industry. And so that's why we're here. And I thought maybe Brett and Ryan, you could tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, Andy, I mean, the reality is it's all about the Benjamins, you know. Ryan and I have been really passionate about education for a long time, and passionate about getting groups of people together and community, and something that's so cool that I've heard so many times over the last day or two. It's people saying, man, it's just so cool because I follow that guy on Instagram, or I follow them on Instagram. It's cool to actually meet. And I've talked to this person for years, and now we actually meet in person. And it's a really cool thing. We have a really cool community. A lot of people that have come from really interesting backgrounds, a lot of very similar backgrounds. It's fun to meet someone that you've never met and say, oh yeah, I used to do that. And, you know, they have the same experience. And, that thread that kind of weaves all of us together is really, really interesting. It's good to come together and see like, oh man, like these are my struggles, and be able to commiserate with other people, because the reality is, what we post on Instagram is usually the best thing that we've done all week or all month. And I remember being a small shop and looking at Instagram and seeing the stuff that these other cool shops were doing. And I'll just say it was, I used to follow, or I do follow, Trust Print Shop, who's our neighbors down the street here. And I remember looking at their Instagram and thinking, man, you guys do the coolest stuff. And I was talking to Matt one day, and he's like, we only post the coolest stuff. We do a lot of not cool stuff. And so that was kind of that first reality of like, oh, we're all the same. We all struggle with the same things. Like, you know, some of us are in different areas that are, you know, DFW is a huge commercial area. It's like easier to grow a business bigger in DFW than it is in Wisconsin or where, you know, wherever. And so like it's, you know, we're all dealing with different things. What am I talking about?
I just want to go. No, you guys, if you guys could just tell us a little bit more about like what Water-Based Camp was meant for. And
Well, water-based camp started, you guys did the first water-based camp in 2019, and a couple people that were here today were at that. At that time, we actually got asked to be a sponsor, and I've been passionate about water-based printing and promoting water-based since I learned about it. I learned how to screen print with water-based, and then I went to the screen printing supply store and got plastisol, and it was horrible. I mean, it was thick. It definitely didn't wash out with water. Like my 4,000 PSI pressure washer blasted it out, and my friends tracked it all over the house and all over their van and car. No idea what this crap was. And so all that, like, water-based is just, it's soft. It creates, in my opinion, a better print, a wearable print. It breathes. And so in 2019, it's like, no brainer. Let's do this. Let's help this water-based camp come to life. And I think we learned a lot from that camp and got a lot of really good feedback from the people that were there. I think then COVID hit, and then it seemed like leading up to that water-based camp, a lot of people were talking about it, and there was a lot of momentum going into water-based printing again. And then once COVID hit, a lot of that went away. Like everyone went back, laser focused, like we need to survive and we need to do the easiest thing possible. And Plastisol's super easy. It's one of the things that made screen printing a thing in the US. Is like when Plastisol was invented, and you could have a flash dryer and stack it. It made an industry, and now it's a worldwide industry because of Plastisol. I think one of my opinions. So it's a great tool, but so I think people went back to the basics. They went back to what's easy, and then now coming out of it, like there's more talk about it, and it was really cool. Like we didn't know that people would show up to this. Kind of took a while to get it together. We were doing a couple events previously, and when we posted this, like Dylan signed up, and I was like, sweet, one person. I think Amy signed up after that, and then like no one signed up for like 2 weeks. And so we're like, oh crap. But then like everyone showed up. So it's really cool to see the water-based like interest come back alive. And then the knowledge that Eric and Val and Colin and Jesse and Dave and everyone and Brian all shared was amazing. So
I think it's important to note that like 2 weeks ago, Eric wanted to cancel this whole thing. So if you
I bought my ticket on accident.
I bought this ticket thinking it was water-based, like an ice bath, because I know that Tilly and Ryan and I missed out. I'm here for the wrong reason, I think.
Yeah, if you were bummed out because your drinks weren't cold enough today, there's a reason. The ice was all gone.
I didn't get the memo. So what were some of your highlights?
Wow, okay. Some of my highlights. One of my favorite shops on earth is Night Owls and Eric and Val. I mean, I think what they do is so great because, I mean, that takes guts, like I was going to ask a question. I asked too many questions, I think, yesterday when they were, when he was trying to run the press, or both of them, actually. But I thought that, to go from Plastisol printing straight all into water-based, I mean, my shop couldn't do that. So we're a Plastisol shop, and I don't know how our customers would react to that. And so I feel like, we would lose half of our accounts or something. And then, so how do you fill that void? I like the idea of, I think it was Colin that mentioned, look, just start with printing white ink and run one press with white ink and just start there and see what happens. I mean, you can always adjust or maybe not even do it if it doesn't work for you. So that's one of my biggest.
Yeah, and I think the cool thing too was like I didn't even know you were coming because you're Plastisol, and we talk about water-based, and you don't really get into it too much because you don't care and you don't want to do it.
I wanted to see you.
And then you got FOMO, and then you wanted to come see me. But in reality, I mean, a lot of these things is kind of like I do Plastisol and water-based, but it's more like I always get something out of any of these events regardless, because you talk to your friends and you get connections with things, or you hear things about screen tension or face coding or whatever, and you take that back to your shop and you do testing. So I've got my own notes, and I'm going to go back and we're going to do a bunch of testing with different things and try to level up the shop, even if it's a little bit, to level up. So these things are totally worth going to. So I'm happy everyone came out.
Were you trying to hold my hand? Here, hold here. Well, maybe instead of talking to us, it'd be cool to talk to some of the presenters. What do you think about that?
Yeah, let's do it. I have notes, but
You two beautiful people. Can you come up here for a minute?
Ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, just everyone give a big round of applause for the presenters. Woo! Come on up. Yeah. And then just thank you very much from all of us at Made Lab. Thank you so much for coming. And thank you, Andy and Dylan, for doing this Q&A. It's going to be good.
It's been super rad for it to host our space for you guys to see, and we hope for a lot of more really cool things to come. So please come back and visit us sometime. The doors are always open.
Except at night.
We're going to lock up in a little bit.
I'll stand behind you.
No, I'll stand behind. You get over here. You need the questions.
Andy, you sit down. You're older.
I'll just stand here in the middle, I guess. It's cool.
There's another chair. Dylan.
There you go.
So,
You need help?
I don't know. One of our favorite things to do on the show is to have shop hacks, and so I thought, what if we had a few spontaneous shop hacks?
Spontaneous shop hack of the day. Coming here, never thought about it. Like having a kid of my own, baby wipes. Like that is literally shop hack number one now for water-based ink, because it's just, today I'd never, even before coming here, I'd never used them ever. I always had a spray bottle, I had rags, and all of a sudden it's like pre-packed baby wipes. Just boom, done. Moving on to the next screen.
Probably got to be the number one, I think, shop hack.
I think so, yeah. It changed our shop for sure.
Yesterday, Dylan and I were in the, I guess the screen room, because it was the coolest room. Coolest in is it's cool. It's like it's rad, but also temperature wise. And Ryan comes back with like sort of panic on his face, and he has all these screens and squeegees and flood bars, and starts washing in this tank, and bare hand. And I was like, well, that's like, who does that? Like, I don't get it. And so I started to help him. I never knew you could do that. Like, you can just use your bare hands to wash screens and squeegees and rubbers, and then the ink comes right off. It's amazing.
I mean, that's the nice thing about water-based is you really need water to clean it. I mean, we're a Sati shop, so we use IR26 if we're going to give a plug to anything. But yeah, you really like water and your arms, and that's it. It's pretty easy.
In our shop, we just have screen racks with giant like 35-gallon plastic totes full of water. We're done with the job. We take all the squeegee and flow bars, we throw them in the tank, and then we just roll it over to the washout bay and we spray it off with the pressure washer, and we're done.
I noticed that the water we were using was warm. Is that something? Is that a thing?
No, that's just Texas.
That's true, though. In my hotel room, there was no cold water. It was just straight hot water out of his head.
It's because Ryan took it. So
Yep.
No, I don't.
Well, we mostly just want to take Q&A from all you guys for these guys. Any last minute questions before we all head out? So if you have a question, raise your hand, and Andy's going to go give you a microphone.
Sure.
Nobody?
Not a single person.
I will say that like I was really excited that they brought water-based camp back. The three of us were at the original one, which was at Tom's shop, his old shop in California. And what my big takeaway from that, which I thought was like really cool, is like basically I think there's 4 or 5 ink manufacturers there, right?
Yeah, there was, because Virus was there.
Green Galaxy, Matsui, and Magna, right?
No, Magna wasn't there and Avient wasn't there. So it was only Virus and Matsui.
No, there was
Was
like
Avient there?
Avient
was there. It was Magna that didn't show up.
3 or 4 companies, right? And everybody got a press. The cool thing about it is that none of the ink manufacturers knew how to run the press that they were actually working on. So you had a full day of watching the ink manufacturers try and figure out not only how to screen print, because none of them are screen printers, but then also how to work on equipment that they've never used before. So it was really cool to see like this like Matsui, Jesse, sorry to throw you under the bus, but Val and I were helping, and I think you guys were running like a 4-color job, and then like shirts would come around and like half the design wasn't there because it ran out of ink, because no one's looking at the ink. They're trying to figure out, how do we flash this, or like how do we actually get the press to index? And so that was like a big like aha moment for Val and I, where it's like, oh cool, like it's not just us like trying to figure stuff out sometimes. Like even these people that this is like their livelihood selling this stuff, like they get into situations where they have no idea what they're doing too. And that was really cool to see. And I think that was like something that early on when we were discussing this camp, I think Brett mentioned it earlier, we purposely tried to like build projects this weekend that were going to break, and they didn't. So that was weird.
Full disclosure, the print we did today on the oval, I designed it. I sent them to separation. I never printed it before I came here until today, because one of it is I didn't have time, but I thought it was a great opportunity to show like the thought of, if you think about everything you're doing and you prep it, it's going to execute every single time the way it was. And I kind of had full trust, but I wasn't 100% sure that it was going to work.
I mean, even for us in the project we ran, we ended up printing them on different garments here, and I was fairly certain it would discharge, but there was still a chance that it wouldn't. And if it didn't, like, cool, you guys would have seen that we would have swapped it out or done something differently, or just said, oh, well, this looks terrible. Sorry.
How true is it though that it seems like at our shop when we do a 10 color, or we think about it a long time and plan, that job goes super smooth, and then we set up a 1 color at the end of the day and we botch it, you know? And so, I mean, I don't know, that happens a lot, definitely for us. And I have a shop hack to share because I just noticed I did something. But in my shop, we have some, what I consider pretty nice dryers. And people love to set their drinks when they get back from lunch from Chick-fil-A or wherever it is, these massive big gulps or something. And they like to set it right there on the dryer. And it's just, I start to sweat when I see that, because I know when it just accidentally, oh, I'm not gonna spill it. But when it accidentally spills and goes into this control panel with 1 zillion wires, but we never really have those doors open. And so whenever I see that, I bust them, and I just noticed I put my water back here on this like really expensive equipment. And I'm sorry about that, guys. It spilled. I don't know. No, but that's my shop hack, is that don't put, because ultimately I'm not going to have them. It did spill, didn't it?
Here's the cool thing about water-based impresses though. Like, it's different than plastisol, where like it starts to dry out and you literally just peel it off. So that's another cool bonus.
So I asked Val if she could give us just a life hack. It doesn't have to be screen printing, because screen printing is hard. Life is harder. And so maybe we all could get a life hack today.
Val, don't embarrass me.
Don't worry, I'll just embarrass myself. I don't know what a life hack would be. Allow yourself the room and the room to fail. Just allow yourself that, because you're only going to learn from it and grow from it. That's my number one.
That's something that we talked about on the show a couple weeks ago, or I don't know, we talk about it all the time because we both fail hard. But I feel like you have to fail. It was kind of like Colin was saying today, is it took years and years of failing of things, or trying things over and over again to realize like doing it the correct way. You can't just come in with his tips and tricks and just you're doing it the right way. Every shop is different. Every shop has different variables. So you just have to fail over and over again in order to be in a good spot.
Well, it's like, realistically too, it's like, if you fail, you just learned it's not really a failure. You just learned that's not the way to do it. Right. Every single time. You just find, oh, that didn't work, so we're going to move on to the next spot. It's not really a failure, because you're learning that one thing doesn't work, but another thing does the entire way through it. And you were talking about like life hacks and shop hacks and things like that. And I will tell you right now, and Ryan's going to hate me for this because I'm plugging the cheapest product ever, but when you need to mix ink, you go to IKEA and you buy the 99-cent spatula, because those things last forever. Like, it's not even silicone. It's literally just the plastic. I should have brought one with me, but it's a plastic spatula and it like folds off the edge and it's about this big. It's about this big. And they're the best things ever for mixing ink. If it's plastisol, if it's water-based, my wife and I will go to IKEA in like Salt Lake City when we're driving through and we'll buy like the entire basket out of the store.
Do you have to assemble the spatula?
Yes. You have to remove the sticker and that's the full assembly.
I have one shop hack that I don't know if we touched on it really in any of the talks or presentations, but like, especially when it comes to water-based, like rely on your manufacturers and your vendors. Like I can't tell you how many times I call and yell at Jesse about things not working and he has to calm me down. Even with like Dave and Sati. Dave is not our Sati rep, but one of the reasons we were able to be successful with water-based is Keith Perkins from Sati literally came into our shop for 2 days and helped us dial and understand our exposure. That's their job. It's how they actually can sell product. So like you're interested in something, try and call the manufacturer, try and get them to come to your shop, educate in your place. Like stuff like this is awesome. And I wouldn't trade it for anything else, but there is something really special about learning how to work with your equipment at your facility. And that's really, really important.
I mean, even like myself, like I still call Jesse probably once a week. And we'll talk on the phone for...
He answers?
Half an hour, 45... He does, actually, surprisingly. But I'll talk on them for like 30 minutes or 45 minutes. And it's just kind of like a continuous, just a fun idea conversation that's just bouncing things back and forth. And it's just a huge resource. Like you kind of like can't think of something and then you bounce it off of him and then or you bounce it off somebody else that's your supplier and they just all of a sudden make you think about something you weren't thinking about. And it's just a huge thing to rely on because that's really what they're there for. I mean, yeah, as you said with Dave, like we'd have problems and I called Dave at Saudi and he goes, yep, just do this, this, and this. I'm like, oh, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, and I think that's...
Well, everybody wants to visit Montana. Yes, I remember that one.
It's the alarm clock, yeah. I think it's the biggest thing though too. Like me and Andy and Eric and a bunch of other people are always in all these text groups, and it's something that you don't think about. You think that certain people have all the answers, but really we're constantly asking each other questions, like constantly. Like I had to shut off notifications on my phone on most things because these guys just won't shut up. But no, it's awesome. It's really good that we all bounce ideas off of each other, and Eric's definitely right about taking advantage of reps.
All right, who's first? Zach?
Arm wrestle.
Maybe we should just come up here and we can do it. Yeah.
That makes it easier.
Thank you.
So my question is, you guys are killing it, innovating the game. What's next? You guys both talked about research and development. What are you guys working on?
I think and that's a big question because it's something that when being overseas, I learned that when I look at the US market, no shops anymore really do research and development anymore. They just don't because they just want to look at the next job that's going to make them the money, the next dollar, the next revenue. And R&D work and research and development is the only way to diversify yourself from the guy down the street. Like when I started my shop in Bozeman, 40,000 people. We had 12 screen printing shops in town. And I immediately was just, nope, we're going out of state. We're staying here, but we're going to get everybody out of state and we're going to bring them in. But I spent the hours and the time of trying to be better than the next guy to make it worth it for those guys to come to Montana to get their shirts printed versus going to LA or Dallas or anywhere else because that's what I needed to do to grow and diversify.
For us, it's digital and screen printing. That is really tricky. It's really sold as a plug and play solution. It is absolutely not. Anyone that sits there and tries to sell you equipment or technology like that, they're absolutely lying to you and they don't understand what it is they're actually selling. So that's been really fun and cool.
I concur with that one.
Yeah. I mean, Colin told a story earlier about, talking with M&R about how this, actually has to be printed in 5 screens instead of 2. The thing is, most people that are not water-based printers and they're looking at that technology and they're saying, this is amazing, I can do it in 2 screens. Like, they're looking for that plug and play solution and the output is terrible. We're testing a whole bunch. We're RDing stuff constantly on our equipment. And like Colin's absolutely right. I mean, like we're I think 2 or 3 months in now of doing like 3 underbases right now, just seeing how that goes. And like, it's insane. And much along the same lines of water-based discussion, there isn't a lot of people out there that actually understands screen and digital technology together. And the people that do are typically overseas as well. So it's a lot of looking at what other people are doing, trying to find the right people to mentor you and at least answer your questions. But yeah, I think digital is going to be, it's a stepping stone to something else, but it's going to be around for a little bit. And so we're really trying to figure out how we can innovate that in our industry of apparel.
Tilly, I know you got to get going. So do you want to come up, ask the next question, or give us a takeaway anyway?
So what I've learned, so I go into a lot of shops. I see a lot of plastisol. I see plastisol. I see water base. I see everything. I see all the tips, the tricks. I take it with me to my next install and I give that information to those people. And I have to say, every shop that I've seen that has the best prints is all water-based. Like, hands down. There's a shop in Florida called, what are they called? Sunday Cool. Some of you guys may know who they are. They have 10,000 churches that they print for. Their presses are going nonstop, and they're doing just water-based. And it is the most beautiful prints I've ever seen. So I'm really glad that these guys decided to do a water-based camp so that you guys can see that it's not really as scary as you think it is. And really try it when you go back home, So that's my takeaway. I got to get out of here. All right.
Good seeing you, man.
Appreciate you guys. See you guys later.
See ya.
Ryan, you had a question?
This is for Eric. How do you pronounce Saudi?
Saudi? Did I say it weird?
Sati.
Sati?
Every time you say Saudi.
Industry. I don't know. Do I say it weird? Okay, cool. Well, they're awesome, so thank you.
Thank you, who?
Saudi.
You just said it completely.
That's how you say it. Sati.
Yeah, Saudi.
Sati. This is a t-shirt printing class.
Okay, then my second question. Whose idea was it, the homework? And whose idea was that? And then what was your feedback from the homework that you saw?
I think that it originally started with Val and I wanting to do that just based off of the original water-based camp, as well as like Mark Coudray and Virus had designed a class called the Virus Mastery class, which you can still buy and is really, really helpful for learning technical information. And that was like a big thing when we went to that class. That's really like what propelled us to be printing water-based. And I don't think that the Virus stuff wasn't like what we did here, where it was sort of like, here's a design, here's the specs, like it was kind of like that, but not really, right? Like,
that whole class was, the first iteration of that class was all Mark Coudray and Beppe. Mark Coudray was like, we're going to do this. And Beppe was like, okay, I'll help you. We'll make it happen. And the first class, I'll honestly say, like, I thought the first class was a total failure because it went too far in the technical side of it all, because nobody really got to print. Nobody really got to be around the thing and ask the questions and figure it out. Where the second time we did the class, it was a lot more hands-on, a lot more homework to it, because Mark Coudray is a brilliant person, like developing CMYK in the 70s and everything like that. But he goes too far. Dot size and net struct. I mean, just all these things that just make it seem like a nightmare. And that's the one thing I loved about the first water-based class was it got better, being more hands-on and less technical. And this one was even better to that because it's like, let's just, I hate to use the word dumb it down, but that's what we did for this class. And I think that's going to make it so much more successful for everybody else.
And really, like the homework portion of it, in my opinion, is for you to do it beforehand, kind of see what your results were when you came here, and then see how we were printing it, and now take that knowledge and go home and apply it to that same print again. I mean, I think we shared the story this morning where we printed, I think we did 4 different sets of a 12 color virus print, and we still couldn't get it right, but we just kept trying and trying and trying to really understand how that ink technology worked. So when we started talking about this, I was really adamant that like I didn't want this to be a bunch of talking heads like this. I really wanted people to actually be printing. Yeah. I really wanted people to be printing because that's how you're going to learn. And that's why we tried to design stuff to fail, because like, I know Ed and Tim from our shop are here, and quite honestly, I wanted to see them squirm a little bit in front of everyone when stuff wasn't working, especially because I'm not in production as much, so I can sit back and be like, yeah, that sucks. You guys should figure it out.
But the homework assignment for those who will listen later was you supplied artwork that was the same artwork that you guys printed here today so that we can compare and contrast what they did, what you can help with, and so on.
I think that's sort of how we train people at SureCon also. I mean, you can only take in so much. And so it seems like it's like on week 1 anyway, when you start at our shop, I just want you to be able to find our shop. Like show up on time, find our shop. Here's where the restrooms are. And then, a lot of people, an automatic is intimidating. They're like this machine spinning around that could kill you.
Also, yeah, very dangerous.
And so they spend a little time there and at the press, and get used to it and get comfortable around it. And then all of a sudden it's like, hey, why don't you put a 1-color screen in, and next thing you know, they're press ops. I love training. I love when somebody starts at our shop. They've never even seen a screen printed shop. It's probably good they saw a screen printed shirt. That'd be good. But they've never seen like a shop. And most people, when I'm out and they're like, hey, Andy, what do you do? I say, I print t-shirts. They have no concept of what that means. And so when they're at, I think that's great. I think that, yeah, you can be overwhelmed with information. People learn at different paces and in different ways. Like I like seeing things, reading it is tougher. I find myself, maybe now that I'm older, I do sometimes stop and read the directions. But I think that's a great point, is that maybe it's best to not overload everybody,
Well, like these guys were saying, is that the first one was too technical and not a lot of people took things from it. But also, like, you don't really print much water-based. You print just plastisol. How do you feel like this whole thing was for you to be like inspired to try it? Or are you like, fuck that?
I guess real quick to chime in on that too. I'd love to hear from you all and figure out, like in the crowd, like what your takeaways on it were. And like, obviously, the class will get feedback at one point or another, but it would be really cool to hear, what takeaways were from the audience. So I'll let Andy answer now that I'm a part of Shirt Show. So go ahead, Andy.
My takeaway?
Yeah.
Oh.
From what Dylan was asking.
Do you feel like it was intimidating, or do you feel like you want to try it?
I think that I think it would be smart for us to try it, because we have a few accounts that still go with us because, we do X, Y, and Z really well. But in the end, they maybe want a different feel for their shirts. And, they'll stay with us for a certain amount of time, but eventually they're going to probably get an order somewhere else and see, what they think, like as far as water-based goes. And then all of a sudden that'll shift away. I've had that happen before. And usually I like we find somebody else to print for, but personally, I really like the feel. I like the challenge. I mean, you're supposed to, most of your growth occurs outside your comfort zone. And so I probably should do it. And so the answer to that is yes. And Eric has promised to fly up to my shop for 1 year.
I just want to hang out with Kyle, right? Isn't the move just go and hang out with Kyle?
What you mean is Val's coming up.
Yeah.
Because Val's the
one who knows what she's doing. Well, Ryan's got the mic, so if anybody wants to share like a hot take or something that they, that they found exciting or learned this weekend, that'd be cool.
It's not what I'm going to ask.
Well, give the mic back.
Well, I have my question is, because I know these two guys have M&R shops, and I heard Colin used to use M&R, now uses Rock. I know you all had a Sportsman that was sold recently. So I have an M&R, but I feel like Rock is like ubiquitous with like the water-based printing, at least that I see on social media. And what are the pros and cons? Like for me, like the fixed pressure on the flood bar, and like the floating flood bar and squeegee on the Rock is, I don't know, it like kind of blows my mind. I don't understand it.
Okay, so this is kind of a weird thing because not a lot of people know this. My first auto I had in 2014 was a Rock. I was the first shop to go from Rock to M&R. The only only shop. And
cut the feed.
Realistically, at the time I was 100% virus inks at the time. And the way their system worked was you had to maintain a certain pallet temperature. And it was easier to do that on a solid aluminum pallet of an M&R versus the beer cans that we print on with Rocks, because that's what they pretty much are. And so at the time, like I knew like that was what I had to do. But at the end of it all, like when I look at it now, it's like, it doesn't matter if it's M&R or an MHM or a Workhorse or a Rock. It prints shirts, it prints plastisol, it prints water-based. You find the system that works for you and you make the Benjamins at the same time. Like in the end of the day, that's all that matters. And some people find that Rock is easier. Some people find that M&R is better. Some people are adamant about MHMs and the weird way that they operate. But at the end of it all, it's like you just find the system that works for you.
The service.
Yeah, the service is a big thing. And for me in Montana, I had a hard problem with M&R because they would never visit me unless I paid them a whole bunch of money to come out and do it. But at the end of it all, it's like if I knew the knowledge I had now, I may have never signed the deal to switch to M&R. I would have figured out a way to make it work. So it's, in the end of it all, it's like what you have in your shop, as long as you're making money and you're happy with the results you're getting, the press you use really doesn't matter.
And just to sort of chime in on that, like, I mean, we ran M&R, but we switched to Rock because we knew that Rock was predominantly being sold in the rest of the world, and the rest of the world is pretty much doing water-based. But the truth of the matter is, like Colin said, whatever you have, if you learn to make it work, it's fine. Or that's what you need to do. Because ultimately, there's some kid in Indonesia printing in a garage on a like one station manual press, printing better than any of us in this room, and we'll never understand or figure out how.
That's super accurate.
Yeah. And
there's
so
a lot of people with manuals too that are just like, oh, I'll never get that. And there's people I know that manually print better than most people I know.
Yep.
I feel like one of my takeaways is from like a small like business, we don't do a lot of like testing. Like we just kind of try to get as many shirts out as possible. But I feel like from this, it's really important for us to take time to like try new things and develop like our own ways of doing things instead of just like trying to get as many shirts out as possible. So
yeah, that's awesome. I mean, it's from any business perspective, it's hard, right? It's hard to dedicate that time. Even for us, it's, you know, when you're working 70-hour weeks, like, and your staff is exhausted, the last thing they want to do at 7:00 at night, an hour after they're supposed to be there, is set up 7 screens that we need to test for the job tomorrow. But sometimes that's what you have to do. So that's a good takeaway.
Yeah, and it's, you know, one of the things I didn't touch on when I was in Bangladesh was I had to do a bunch of calculations for them about the development time that they did and the sampling that they worked on. And for the spring summer of 21 season that they printed, by the time I'd calculated everything, they spent 8,000 man hours in just development and sampling before going even into production on everything they did. And when you calculate that out across 2 seasons or 3 seasons a year, they were doing 12 to 18,000 hours a year of just development and sampling and testing. And it shows the dedication that they have these clients that come back again and again and again because they put in those hours and work. And I think that's very important in the US to do the same.
I do have something.
I got to take. My take, and I believe Sarah, who came with me, is we came here without any kind of real agenda. I saw the advertisement for it and I wanted to come down here immediately, and it was just about everything I hoped that it would be. It was loose, it was informative, it was funny. I met a lot of people that I've talked to for years through Instagram that I've never actually seen their faces. I've met people like your presenters that we've talked to for hours on end at trade shows and things like that. But it was ultimately what I consider a better experience than one of the trade shows because it was more hands-on and not exactly a sales pitch. And I appreciate that kind of format that you had.
I think that was a big goal for all of us that were involved in planning this, just because like we're all printers. I mean, we know what it's like to just have a sales pitch, right? And no one's going to learn anything from a sales pitch because at a trade show, everything works perfectly. Nothing ever goes wrong. Everything looks amazing. And it only goes wrong when it's in your shop and you're doing it. So we worked really hard to make that, act like that. And I'm glad that is how you perceive this to be, because like it was a lot of work to do that. And we tried to do that purposefully.
I think that's one thing for me though, personally, is like these guys were saying is like, you can talk to M&R or Rock or whoever, and ultimately they're biased because they're trying to sell you something. But realistically, almost all the stuff I've learned about printing or any techniques or anything are from other printers, by far.
I would say something to just the idea of the R&D part that somebody mentioned, and that is like as shop owners, we maybe have this great idea of, okay, well, on Tuesday at 2:00, I'm going to R&D for the rest of the day. But then on Tuesday at 2:00, there's two people in your office because they're arguing and they are going to kill each other. And so you're trying to mediate that. And so you don't get to R&D. So I think we talked about this a few other times, and that is the only real way. And I don't know if there's any shops here doing that. Maybe they could share how, is to have a dedicated person or team that actually does that. And maybe even like Eric, you say you run 410s. I don't know what you do on Fridays if you're just like playing bingo or whatever, but
it's a little bit of that. But yeah, to touch on that, we have two of our lead guys here, and we trust them when we have a project we need to test. We lay out the instructions for them and they know what we're trying to do. It's a project that we sort of discuss ahead of time. They know what the goal is. They know what it is that it's supposed to achieve. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. And then real quick, the other thing I was going to say about Sean's point is that we can get really serious and technical about all this stuff, but we print t-shirts. That's pretty cool. And I know Shirt Show, you guys bring that up all the time. It's it's a really fun industry. And sometimes that can get lost in the, in the minutia of it. And so events like this, I think really bring that out. And as Ryan and Brett said earlier, it just brings out this super cool community. It makes us proud and excited to be a part of it. So yeah, thank you all for helping with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think we've been printing water-based for 3 years now, and I feel like the whole time we're worried that we're doing something wrong. And I think coming here, it sort of validates that everyone has the different process and it works for them. So I think the validation of it's cooking and you can just throw in whatever works, and if it tastes good, keep doing it. I feel no, definitely not.
Don't eat it, trust me.
So it's validating and kind of calms us down a little bit. It's we're on the right path. So seeing it and seeing people we follow actively doing different shit, it's okay, we're also doing our own shit. So it's cool.
Honestly, for us, the virus class and the first water-based camp, especially the first water-based camp, Val and I walked away from it being we kind of do know what we're doing. And then we were able to come back to our team and be hey, for the most part, we blew a lot of the stuff out of the water. We were killing it. That was a really cool feeling. And it made us want to dive even deeper into it and continue that. I'm sure Colin's got stories like that too.
Well, it was the same thing me and Andy with the Shirt Show stuff is we just bullshit with each other on Sundays. And realistically, a lot of times we're talking about what went horribly wrong. And then most of the feedback we get from people who listen to the show is that like, oh yeah, I like realized that I'm okay and I fucked that up too. And like we're all doing the same stuff. It's the same with like Instagram or Facebook or whatever. Like we post the great stuff, but behind that great stuff is like a ton of stuff we did horribly wrong. I mean, more so at ShirtCon than Upstate, but I mean, it's like, it happens.
Tell everybody how we fix everything.
Yeah, well, Andy fixes it and sends cookies and whatever, but I mean, I don't have that budget that he has. But. Anybody else?
I got a takeaway and a question. Takeaway, we don't do any water base at this point, and it's a little overwhelming, obviously a lot, but I think we took away that it's doable, and we're not as scared to kind of test it out and jump into that boat a little bit. So thank y'all for that. Y'all made it, so for us. But my question is, both of your shops did just kind of dive into it. So at what point during that process did you guys kind of step back a little bit and be like, damn, we're glad we did this,
Just now.
I haven't figured it out.
It was kind of like when I made that jump, when I first got my first auto and I just made that decision to switch, it was kind of more of like, this is what I want to do. I don't want to melt probably recycled PVC pipes to a t-shirt anymore. Like it didn't sound appealing to me. And I'm really happy that I just went for it at the time. And I don't know how many times, like one of the very first jobs I had in my auto was like 3,000 pieces. And we just were like, oh, we're just gonna do this in water base. And it probably took us like 2 weeks to do it because we just screens would fail and then the screen would break and then all of a sudden the dry in would happen. Like it was a total nightmare and disaster, but I don't regret any minute of it all. I mean, even now, like they were talking about things and I was like, we have a job right now in our shop and I'll be honest, like it's probably like 6 weeks late and it's a print that even at like my point in my career here, we failed to execute this print. Like we have tried it probably 7 times now and we have still failed to execute it to the level that I felt comfortable to send it to the client. And it was just, and I'm still struggling with it today. And like, we finally were just like, oh, we're just not going to charge him for the rest of this because we're late. But it was like, we just struggled again and again and again and went through 5 or 6 different separations on it, trying to make it work, get the colors right. And we just finally were just like, you know what, we've got to find a way to do it and just have that explanation with the client. And it just felt good to keep failing the whole time, honestly.
Josh has a question, but he couldn't text it or.
He just walked over here. I don't know. No, it was, you guys did a great job. I mean, I learned stuff here and, we're a full water-based shop in South Carolina, but if I had any encouragement for anybody that's doing it or hasn't done it, if you stick with it, you'll figure it out or you'll be good at it. And that's good enough. I mean, you're always trying to improve, but it'll help you differentiate in your market as well, which is always an advantage in a business, which is good. But, I love all you guys on stage. So
we love you too, Josh.
I appreciate that. Thanks, Ryan.
Our shop, one of our competitive advantages, there's a ton of shops in St. Louis, and so we wanted to set ourselves apart. We used to run a team of 5 designers, and lately, I shouldn't say lately, this year it unraveled a little bit. And a sponsor of our show and also a sponsor of this event stepped in and saved our butts. If you would like to ever reach them, their number is 1-900-HOT-STUFF. And I think
don't you guys normally do the sponsors in the beginning? I'm confused.
I think 1-900-HOT-DOG is the other one, but that's Graphic Source. And I had a question for them because they separate for us for plastisol printing, and I guess is that different? And how do you do it for water base? How does that work?
Should we get a round of applause for Nick real quick? Come on.
Boo, boo, boo.
Yeah, to answer your question specifically, you have to kind of eliminate the dot gain. So there's, you separate it as if there's no dot gain. So yeah, great question, by the way. And the answer is yes. So I actually had a couple takes. When Brian was out there talking, he talked about like a flattening screen after doing discharge white to kind of like force it in, as opposed to like cranking the pressure and checking on the backside of the garment to see if it's like penetrated all the way through. I was like, oh, a smoothing screen after that makes a lot of sense. But I actually had a couple questions for you guys as well too. We'll start. Colin, what's the wackiest ink system that you worked with when you were in Bangladesh?
Okay. So when I first went, everything they did was all table printing. So you walk in and it's probably 1,000 feet of just tables in a row that these guys just walk down, printing and printing and printing. And for the longest time, they were using this ink called Performance Science. It sounds super technical. And it came out of this place in Bangkok. And they would buy it and they would send things there to get developed. But it was like, it would be water-based, but it was like worse than plastisol. It was just this super thick, globby ink. And like people here complain about dry-in. This ink, they'd print 32 pieces and they'd have to stop and wipe out and clean the screen and then print the next 32 pieces. So they were wiping screens like every 5 or 6 minutes, again and again and again and again. And I think the other wacky thing was when I was there, we just started developing silicone. And that was just a total whack job of a nightmare because it's like water-based and plastisol, you like control your flashes, you got to make it work. But silicone's like crank it to 10, crank it to 12, and hope that you get it to flash before you go to the next color because it just creates a total nightmare.
That's cool. My second part to that question is, how come you guys rule so much?
No.
I don't have an answer.
That is not a real answer.
That's all I got.
I have an announcement.
Are you retiring?
Yes. So thank you guys so much. I'll be on my way out. We have decided to go ahead and announce another event that will be taking place in 2023. It's going to be called Silicone Camp.
I'm not invited. I'm just inviting myself right now.
It's going to be just Colin.
No.
The name of that event sounds really weird, by the way.
It sounds horrible.
You guys talk about different things that they do overseas that you kind of wish we had here. Is there anything else that they do that we're not doing yet?
We didn't do a lot of it in the factory in Bangladesh that I worked for, but it's, I know a lot of you guys see it and people ask me questions about it, but you see videos overseas of them doing like the fabric embossing where you'll see them like, you'll look at it and it's like, here's the Nike logo and it's like raised out of the fabric and the fleece or however it is. And that's a really kind of crazy, unique product that it's a silicone. It's not a water-based. And they print that on the inside of the garment. And they take it over to a double-sided heat press with CNC dies, and then they heat press it, and it's completely finished and done. And it's kind of a crazy thing to watch because I'm like, that's so labor-intensive, but it's absolutely gorgeous. I mean, I think the last show that FESPA had, they had their award system, and one of the winning awards was actually they did that silicone embossing on the shirt, and then they printed like sim process water-based on top of that. So it was this raised effect in the fabric, but here's this perfectly registered print on top of it. It was just...
You would do the silicone on the inside, the sim process on the outside, and then press it?
Yep, and then you had to get that to line up perfectly with the die so that it wouldn't like move the print off the edge. Oh, it was... Over there, it's table printing. We would do jobs that they'd only print 100 pieces in 10 hours.
But also you have to remember too that a lot of times they're printing panels, right? And panels are way harder to load because they have to be exactly precise. And so like Colin mentioned earlier, some shops have projection or like projection machines like putting the placement of the panel. And you have to remember too that panels are going to change if you're putting on a small shirt or a double XL. So like even like when it comes to like digital printing, right? Like a lot, like Ryan, forgive me, but I'm throwing rock under the bus a little bit here because the machine was developed to more or less print on panels. So like a speed of like 200 pieces per hour, that's like right in the sweet spot. But like over here, we're fast, go, 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 go. Like very American mentality, very Rich Hoffman mentality. And so like, it's a very different way of looking at it because they're doing 200 pieces per hour on a, piece of fabric that big because maybe it's the left sleeve. So a lot of stuff that's done in that large scale production like that is just such a different way of thinking of what the normal's wrong, but what the average print shop here is like. Maybe you know of others, but I would say Liquid is probably like the closest that would operate. Even that's they're going at an insane speed most of the time, so that's probably not correct. But so it's just a different way of production and manufacturing. So it's not that, I wish that we could do that here. It's just, I think that there is a thought process that like overseas manufacturing isn't as like good as here, which I think needs to change because ultimately I think that oftentimes they're doing things that are way harder and way more complicated and nuanced, which is sort of lost in translation, if you will.
Well, there is a group here called PGM, and that stands for Print Girl Mafia, and they're here because they support women in this industry, and I thought it would be interesting to hear some of their takeaways. So could you come on up?
Val, you gotta say.
Yep. Yeah, you chill. You chill here. Jojo?
What's up? Didn't expect this, but hi. I know. My name's Joanne Rudman. I'm with Shirt Kong. We're in St. Louis, Missouri.
Hi, I'm Nikki Bowen. I'm with Machine Gun Graphics in Winston-Salem, North Carolina.
I'm Christina Haynes. I'm with Varsity in Fort Pierce, Florida. I started the Mafia.
She did. It was a text group.
It was a text group and a bunch of badass bitches. So turns out there's a lot more in the industry than we knew about, and want to make sure that we all are secretly taking all of your jobs.
So this text group, I know it's mainly about screen printing, wink. But so how does it help you guys? And also, how can somebody join your group?
We're on Instagram and also Facebook, just Print Girl Mafia. So you can find us there and join up.
The Facebook group is for girls only, so like all of you can't join it. But Instagram is open. You can't join the text group, sorry. It's already so many notifications.
Mine's muted.
Yeah, it's definitely muted or else. And what's real funny is that we all have different schedules, like different shops do. Obviously, we're across the country too. We've got Pacific Northwest and I'm in Florida. Like everyone's everywhere, different time zones. So nothing would be going off at 2 a.m. and 2 p.m. Like it depends on whoever's on press, and Allison will hop off. Allison's at Parkway and she'll catch up on like 40 texts that she missed. So it's like always a million notifications. So we literally cannot handle any more than that. But that's why we created the Facebook group, because enough people asked, as well as the Instagram. And we are currently in the process of developing. We figured that we didn't want to take all of the podcast popularity away from some other people. So we're going to do a happy hour, a monthly happy hour instead. We're going to have it be themed. Val doesn't know, but she potentially might be our first we call ourselves the OGs, the original girls. We're going to ask Val to potentially help host the first one because she is a badass.
Yeah, definitely. We would love to have you. Please say yes.
Yeah, the best thing is that I'm doing this in front of everyone. So Val, would you be open to
Get down on your knee.
hosting?
Get down on your knee.
Val,
Val, would you please?
will you be our first?
I think that's a yes.
Eric's not allowed.
The goal is they're not strong enough, I guess.
Move it. There you go.
There you go. Okay. So our goal is to help create community at the shows that we've been to. Usually people come up to our booth, men, and they're like, I'm going to take some of these stickers for the women at my shop, or the girls in my shop would love to have some shirts.
Or
And
their
they're like,
daughters work in the shop.
yeah, or the daughters want to start. They're interested. And turns out that they're just not coming to the shows. So it was a way to help build community and create connections within the industry that isn't a podcast where we talk at you or with a single person. So,
Well, we know you guys like to get together and talk about supporting women and stuff, but I think the biggest thing that I've seen was that for the industry for the longest time was like if a woman like Eric and Val or whatever, if Val would have gone up to a vendor and started talking about how she wanted to buy this or whatever, 9 times out of 10 that vendor would talk to Eric.
so we're actually currently talking to a vendor right now who has mistreated, like someone in the group has spoken up about mistreatment, and we're currently speaking with the VP of a vendor right now about that mistreatment. I'm not going to tell you who they are because that's the rule. Like, we are addressing it first with them internally, and then if we need to, we will. But someone's got to look out for each other. One of our first initiatives is also safety, which isn't always on the radar for men. It's a much different world for women. I was grabbed in a parking lot in college, and that sucked. And a lot of us are working late and leaving shops or walking to our car in dark parking lots. And or if an unruly customer comes in, my shop that I'm at is 10 women. There's no men at our shop. So if we had someone come and they were acting up, I mean, it's Florida, so we'll be okay. But we're working to do some protection. We're going to do like drink covers. We are working potentially to get some pepper spray for keychains. We have some lightning bolt shaped keychains that are pretty sturdy to carry between our fingers when we walk to cars, things like that, that I think aren't always on the radar for men walking to their cars late at night when they leave the shop at 2 a.m.
Something that I think is really neat is, you all know on Facebook groups when, I don't know, you put a question out there like, how do you expose the screen? And then everybody tells you what a moron you are. They have a Facebook group that is a great Facebook group, actually, with real answers for women to go to. And I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, JoJo kills it on that Facebook group. She's very thoughtful. She's also the business side of Shirt Kong. So a lot of the questions that come in are business related and just so thoughtful. None of the bullshit answers of you idiot. So it's like a safe space without people commenting.
Yeah, I mean, you can ask anything and there's over 200 people in it now. So somebody's going to have an answer for you. And then we all do different things in our shops. So it's diverse in that way. So yeah, if you want to share a highlight from your day or a struggle or something that's really good, or you're at an event, anything, you can come and post it in the group. We'll celebrate you. Or if it's a struggle too, we'll come back and try to help. I'm always looking for questions that pertain to me. Just because I am more on the business side than the production side, but I'll gladly answer anything anybody posts that I can help with.
What do you guys have as takeaways from the water-based camp?
It's a lot harder than I realized because I didn't really know. We're a plastisol shop, so just getting to see what it takes. I mean, it was really interesting to learn like what it would take to, like Andy said, for us to flip over to water-based, because that was interesting just to know like what it would take. So I was glad to get those answers. But then just seeing like the process, and I mean, people who are really dialed in, like Val, I mean, you guys are a whole another animal. Like you guys are a beast for just, if you do it well, I'm mad respect because I didn't realize it was so hard.
Nikki, come on, you're a water-based shop.
We're not full water-based. We're like half plastisol, half water-based, but it does inspire me to go home and try to push to get closer and closer to 100%.
My background is education, so there was a lot that maybe some other people that you guys didn't notice, but there was a lot of education strategies, like how the presses were set up for showing people who are most likely in smaller shops. Like Colin specifically set up that job yesterday, and he told us, I set it up this way because I know I wouldn't necessarily do it at my shop with, it's 100 pallets. Your oval, so close. 100, give or take. So like he set it up specifically for like having everyone in mind. It was so thoughtful. Like this is how I would do it in a smaller shop. Same with their press. They set it up in a way that if they didn't have a dryer at the ready. That was my first question was, how would you actually do this at your shop if you had like the dryer was there and ready?
Val, like I said earlier, we all kind of come to these and take away something a little bit. You were a presenter, but did you take away anything from Colin or anybody else?
Well, my takeaway is there's a lot of questions, and a lot of people are looking for what is the right way to print water base. It's going to be different for every shop, and I can give you as much advice as I can, but I'm not going to know what's going to work for you. And what it comes down to is you have to try it in your shop and see what works for you, and work with your vendors and see if they can help you dial that in.
Does anybody have any more questions? Any questions for these guys? Any questions for Matsui or Sati?
I have one.
Ryan, how about if Jesse, Dave, and Brian, are they all still here?
Wait, I have a question before you. I have a question first. Okay. Me first. I know that you guys talked, when we visited your shop, you had like humidifiers, and humidifiers have been mentioned a bunch of times. I'm in Florida, so I definitely don't need them. But I also know that it's very important that the water in the ink is special. Distilled, whatever they were saying. Do you filter the water for the humidifiers? Yes. I didn't ask you. Mind your business. This is what we need,
Eric. So Eric's answering because there are a lot of things in the shop that I won't know. I do actually know that we filter. Yes, it's filtered water. And ideally, when you're using anything on press, you want to use distilled or filtered water.
I'm just curious.
Quick question. Is there an initiation or hazing process to join the Mafia?
You're a boy, so we can't tell you.
You're asking for a friend.
Yeah, asking for a friend. I have a female potentially interested to join in the business.
I feel like the answer has to be no. Legally, no. There's a questionnaire to answer to join the Facebook group.
Where can they reach out? What's the Facebook and what's the?
Print Girl Mafia. It's cleverly named. Print Girl Mafia. You just search that on Facebook, and Instagram is that's our handle as well.
Thank you, ladies.
Woo!
We lost a mic, maybe. There's one there, I know.
What's up, sir? How are you? What's up, man? Yeah, I can, yeah.
Did we lose?
No, we only ever had 3.
We don't have Brian. Yeah.
So I guess, do you guys have any shop hacks for your fields that you didn't maybe say in this camp? Or is there anything that you can, in your experience, that maybe isn't technical, but is like a really ridiculous thing that will help people?
I do have one. Sometimes you come across something by accident. I mean, Saudi is everything screen making, whether it be equipment, emulsion, reclaimed chemicals, things like that. I don't remember Beppe. Who was it that used to work with Beppe, Cullen? Just with virus. When he was here in the U.S., I'm trying to remember his name. It's been quite some time. Gastoni, yes. I had been in Phoenix, Arizona at a distributor's place that was getting ready to do a open house, and the place was a mess. I mean, they just weren't ready for the open house. And I'm looking at the floor and all these water-based inks on there, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna grab one of my chemicals to clean it up, and I grab a press wipe and I clean it up, and it takes it up, and it left the floor so slick. And I'm like, oh, shoot. Okay. So I'm thinking, all right, now I can take my IR26 and I can cut that with water. So let me try a little bit of that in there. And it's just one of those things you come across through trial and error. So all of a sudden, it cleans the floor amazingly from this dried water-based ink. I'm like, let me try that on the press. And before you know it, Gastoni is like, will that get water-based out of a dried water-based out of a screen? And, I made it really weak. It was like 20% IR, 26, 80% water. So it was really weak. But it opened up the screen, and it was amazing. And it dried instantly. And it was like a fantastic water-based press wipe if it dries into your screen. So, I mean, I'm thinking, wow, I got to keep that in my mind. So then I go off to Hawaii for work, of course. And traffic out there was ridiculous. But by the time I got to this shop, and it was very reputable size out there, I was about 20 minutes late. And they're like, oh, we were so ready for you here, but the screens are ruined. And I was like, what do you mean they're ruined? He's like, they've already dried in. I was like, well, can I try it? And so I made my mixture, 80% water, 20% product. And I went and I wiped out the screen, and it opened right up. So as far as a neat little shop hack for water-based printers, if you're going to try it and it does dry into your screen, IR26, 20% product, 80% water will work fantastic. And it was just one of those accidental things that I came across. But again, I'm a firm believer of teaching what you know. I mean, it's not top secret. We're out to help each other become successful. So in every way that I can, I will try and share whatever might help. But that was one of those little hacks that I came across just by accident.
You should have just shut your mouth and bottled it and sold it.
I could have made a fortune.
80% water. Jesse, you got anything?
Well, for me, it's been a great experience. It's actually been one of the best seminars I've ever been involved in. I travel all over the world, and I've been to, I don't even know how many shops. And seeing the diversity of shops in one place is incredible, and listening to all the different experiences. For me, when I came into this industry, nobody wakes up and says, I want to be a screen printer, and we get here by accident. And, I was working in the warehouse of a shop, and the only reason I got into the position I'm in is because I knew Spanish, and they asked me to translate. And through translating is how I learned my technical knowledge, working for an emulsion and mesh company. And it got my interest. It was really cool, to be able to help people. And I think that's what inspired me to stay in the industry. And why I'm here today, I really enjoy helping people. And that's what I'm seeing here today from everybody that's here today. Everybody's willing to help each other grow and be better. And earlier we're talking about, development. Development is key to your success. You got to find time to do that development. It's very, very important, because I've seen it in the bigger shops, and I've seen why they're successful. And it doesn't matter what size shop you are, you have to take the time to develop, especially when it comes to color. Being an ink manufacturer, I see so many shops struggling with color, and if you don't get that color right before it gets on the press, you're losing money, lots of money. The only time you're making money is when that squeegee's moving. And if that squeegee's not moving, you're losing money. So even if it's a one color press or, hinges on a table, it doesn't matter what it is, but you got to swatch that color and match it and make sure it's the right color. Very, very important. yeah, there's a lot of takes. We can be here another 3 or 4 hours, but I think the experts who are you guys, who do it day in and day out. And yeah, I will not tell you guys that I know how to screen print. You guys do it day in, day out. Okay. I know how to use the products. I can help you use the products, but I'm not going to sit there and say, I know how to screen print better than you. Never. Okay. Because you guys do it day in, day out. And who else better than the printers themselves? And I think that's what was the best thing this weekend, is having the printers out there, not the technical sales guys, because we only learn how to use our products better and teach you how to use our products better. And we're guilty of not learning more about printing, but we don't have those resources sometimes. And when I first started in the industry, I would get invited into the shop all the time to come in and do development. And that's fallen by the wayside, which, is not motivating anymore. But I do see that it's coming back. And you have to hold these distributors and manufacturers accountable for their products. It's very important, because that technical information is not out there like it used to be before.
So you encourage people to call you at 7 in the morning.
Absolutely, 100%.
Right.
I joke about it. I call it job security. If you don't call me, I might lose my job one day. But we're there. It's free. It's free. You don't have to pay for it.
One of my things is I ask some of the hard-hitting questions, and where are you from? Can I ask that?
I am from Oklahoma since 1999.
And Jesse?
I was born in East LA, just like the movie.
So have either of you seen a Sasquatch? Dylan, he's a little too shy to ask that question.
How about knowing somebody that had seen one? Yes. So, well, I grew up out in Utah, and probably when I was about 15 years old, there was a Sasquatch sighting. And one of my really good friends had come outside and seen it stop from a distance. Okay, stop from a distance, but he did describe the horrendous odor that was with it, and it made the news, But I knew this guy, so I've never seen it. I spend my time in the wilderness. I haven't seen one yet. So,
what about in LA?
No, they talk a lot about the chupacabra. But not Sasquatch. Yeah, there you go.
Colin, you're out in Montana. How about you?
I don't know. We have bears.
Does anybody have any questions for these guys?
Any questions?
No.
Sorry.
So when I sold Matsui, I quickly learned there's like 1 million sub products that nobody knows about. Like photochromatic, burnout, all these like crazy products. What's like the coolest unknown Matsui product out there? Like specialty effect, just blow your mind type stuff.
That's a good question. I just think there's a lot of oxymorons going on with water-based, inks. The coolest one is probably printing on waterproof fabric. Who would have expected that you'd be able to print water-based inks on waterproof fabric, and really well. It works really well, better than plastisol, way better than plastisol. And, there's a lot of cool products. Plastisol has great products. Water-based has its great products. It's just like printers. Some printers can do some things better than others. So, by no means, I want to say this water-based camp is to convince, and I repeat myself again, for you to switch your shop 100% water-based. You got to do what's right for your business and what brings in the money, what brings in the Benjamins, like you guys were saying earlier. But can't emphasize it enough. Use your vendors, use your manufacturers. They're there for a reason. If you don't feel they're technical enough, you got to keep searching. I understand there's a lack of support out there right now, but we have to hold each other accountable, and it's very important, because that's the only way you're going to become more successful in your business.
Anybody else? Everybody did their job very well then. Well, the last question we always ask, Andy, we want to ask.
Yeah, what is for dinner? I know Nick, he's trying to get us some reservations at Olive Garden. Says
Free wrestlers. Anya. What are you guys doing, dinner wise?
I'm going wherever Ryan and Brett and I don't know. I've been getting free dinners every night, so I'm enjoying it.
the food has been great.
On American Airlines, so I'm not sure you want that.
Uh-oh.
I was gonna say after this, it'll probably be McDonald's on the way home. So I got to make it home tonight.
You just
and
love
be in
that
Tampa tomorrow.
world's largest McDonald's.
I do. I'm telling you.
Well, Brett, Ryan, do you guys have anything else, or are we all good?
How do you want to end the show?
Well,
By asking you if you have anything else.
Well, really quick, I think most importantly, we have to thank everybody that put this together.
Yeah.
Everybody worked really, really hard. I'm very impressed. Round of applause.
Yep.
You know, I was just telling Brian, I said, you know what? I've never been involved in a seminar like this where I had so much help, and it was just amazing. I mean, from Tom to Ryan, just seeing all of them working, you know, so hard and putting this together. All the marketing and signage that was put together. I mean, there was a lot put into this. And I really feel like it's important for us to, you know, recognize that. Thank you.
Yeah, for me, whenever I go, sometimes I even hate leaving and I feel like I can't leave the shop. And whenever I do, I gain so much perspective and inspiration. I think that, you know, I get stuck in the everyday and I print t-shirts or try to go home, make a sandwich, and then wait for tomorrow. And I know coming here and seeing all this is, and then trying to bring, even if it's just one thing, you know, bring back to my shop and tell the story of like my experience, it's huge. So thank you guys, really.
One other thing, Val, Eric, Colin, thank you for pushing me. Okay. You guys really pushed me to be better. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, yeah, big round of applause. Like Colin and Eric and Val, you guys did great work. Really appreciate all the effort that went into making this, the actual content here. And then on our team, Brian Lessard and Tom Davenport were the ones that did all the real work. Brett and I just talk. So they did awesome job putting all the market. Tom did this is basically Tom's brainchild. So put all the marketing, everything together. So give them a huge round of applause. I don't know where Tom went.
Tom probably sensed that he might need to be on camera and disappeared.
Yeah. So final words, Brett. Thank you, Brett, for hosting this too.
My final words are thanks for coming. I enjoyed spending the last couple days with you guys and meeting a bunch of new people. I had a great time. So thank you for being here. And thanks for coming to our home. You know, thanks for coming to Fort Worth and sharing this time with us. We appreciate it.
And thank you guys for doing this Q&A. Good job. Give the Shirt Show a round of applause. Shirt Show! I can't do it.